After the transmitter was removed, what was next?
Just as soon as the old transmitter was out, we had to start on the new transmitter system, and that started with Sydney Electric coming in and running conduits from the old building to the new building. Then the new transmitter arrived from Axera. It is a 500-watt digital transmitter in 2 rack cabinets, and the 2 rack cabinets will allow us to do a power upgrade later if we so choose. But the first thing we had to do is get all the electric in. Here's Travis working on the north side of the building, and Steve's on the south side of the building putting in conduits for all the power lines. Matt from Baumann Mechanical is using a plasma cutter here to cut a hole which will be for the transmission line to come through, the 6 1/8 transmission line which comes down from the antenna and enters the building on this large aluminum plate. Now Rick is cutting in the holes which will be for the 2 half pieces that the transmission line sits in and is bolted to. Now Matt is cutting a oval hole, which will be for a what we call port plate for 8 transmission lines, which will be for the 2-way radio equipment and other antennas. Jim is mounting up the 6 1/8 inch reducer, and now we're purging the transmission line. Great Lakes Tower is down from Monroe, Michigan, and they're hooking up the transmission line. Originally, the transmission line came down the tower and went to the west to the old transmitter, and we swung it around and is now going to the east underneath this bridge which Baumann Mechanical put together for us. And this transmission line enters the side of the building, and once inside it goes to the transmitter. Now it's time for a little cleanup and to mount the transmitter. I'm going to mount up the remote control, which is used by the operators in the other building to control the transmitter. And I guess Ray and John are finishing up the ground system for the transmitter and putting in the last of the electrical, which goes over to the transmitter. When complete, the transmitter will feed the dielectric TFU-30J antenna at the top of the tower, which was previously used by the analog transmitter. And this will save us a lot of money by not putting up a new antenna and transmission line. Now we're repainting some rack cabinets which were taken out of the old TV station. These were kind of a powdery blue and made for the United States Air Force. We're repainting them black just to make them look nice and using what's called a wrinkle tex finish, getting out some of the scratches and such. And when we pull up that little piece of tape, we should find that the paint will match exactly. Now these cabinets are going to be used in our 2-way and network racks located in the room. First of all, we put them into place, and then we'll start loading them with equipment in just a few moments. Finally, here comes the CBS rack. Now this rack contains the CBS downlink equipment for the CBS television network, and we're going to mount this right at the end of the racks we just installed.
What were some of the obstacles you faced in the construction?
Probably the biggest obstacle was all the satellite dishes we had to install. Now keep in mind, when we were an NBC station, we just had a primary and secondary dish and a few dishes for picking up our syndicated program. But now we had 3 additional stations, all of which required a primary and secondary antenna for the main network, as well as satellite dishes for all the different programs that would be syndicated when we're not in network. We had to have all these cement trucks come in on one day and pour all the pads for the satellite dishes, and then start installing all the antennas that were needed. All the wiring from the dishes to the building had to go underground. It was quite a project. Here you see Ken and some of his guys from Satellite Connections installing the secondary antenna for the CBS television network. Ken is assembling one of the LNBs which goes on to one of the dishes here. And you see our dish farm, which we now have 33 satellite dishes on our property. Here's the EAS antennas and National Weather Service antennas. And now we're installing the dish network system so we can be seen on the satellite. This is where the old transmitter was, and now we're going to turn this into an IT center for all our computers and our network administrator.
How do you get all the network and syndicated programming?
Our plan was to build a satellite room, which is basically a 12 by 10 room, which will contain all the downlink equipment for the networks, as well as all the receivers and such that we would use for picking up syndicated programming. In addition to the receivers, we also have some electronics means such as Pathfire and other vendors. But we wanted to have one room where all the satellite equipment came into. Mark, here's one of the graphics that we used just prior to signing on the ABC and CBS stations.
Can you explain how the master control works, and how do you fit 4 TV stations into one room?
Each station is given approximately 44 inches of real estate, which is also about the size of these large monitors, which takes the place of individual monitors. Additionally, we use automation to control these switchers and some of the functions. This wire-ready automation system controls each switcher panel, and we're ready to sign on the ABC and the CBS station for the first time. Watch the red and yellow bank of buttons as we approach the top of the hour. Our last task is to take down the old power pole that was used by the old analog transmitter, and once this happens, pretty much anything that resembles the old analog system has been removed from WLIO.